Today's guest is a thought leader in everything pricing and how companies can use pricing to drive higher growth, sales volume, and profits. His new book, The Price Whisperer, a holistic approach to pricing power, is available at booksellers nationwide and online. He's a Forbes Business Council thought leader, identified by Thinkers 360, the top 50 global thought leader in sales, and by Inc. magazine top 10 leaders that make a difference in 2023. Per Sjofors, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. What are the most common pricing mistakes companies make?
Well, I would say that the most common mistake is that many companies, doesn't matter what size, many companies don't really think that pricing is important. They kind of know it that it's important, but they instead of really understanding what their customers are willing to pay, they look at a competitor for pricing, or they have some gut feel on what the market is willing to pay, and they use that. Or they just look at their cost and add some kind of margin they think is reasonable, right? And
Yeah.
and all of these methods, if you like, to price, leave money on the table, and ignore the fact that buyers buy the value you deliver, right? and they don't care about your costs. They don't care about what a competitor may charge if you can position yourself differently and provide maybe a better service and so forth. So that is among all the companies I've been talking to over the years, that's certainly the most common and most damaging, I would say, pricing mistakes.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So in the painting industry, it's common to figure out, okay, what are your costs? And then maybe double that so that hopefully you clear a 50% gross profit. Or I think the most common way in the painting industry is for guys to try to figure out what their competitors are charging and then undercut them, which is a big mistake. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah, it's a big mistake. And it's all about also differentiation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if a company can understand better why a buyer want to buy, and then that buyer is often willing to pay higher prices, right?
If they understand why,
Yeah,
what they're looking for.
and it's not only paint a house or paint a building. It's more complex than that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you a personal story here. I need to. This is not paint, but I need to replace the roof on my house. And so I reached out to a bunch of roofing contractors, and I did that. I also did a thing on what used to be called Angels List, right? And I was bombarded by the most annoying phone calls and the most annoying text messages, right? In ways that there was only one company that didn't annoy me.
Okay, so this relates directly because this is a case in the painting industry as well. Could you expand on that, please? How do you mean that they were annoying?
Well, first off, um, they all want except one. I told them, this is the size of my house. This is the condition of the roof. This is the I have a ranch style house, so it's one floor. The roof is fairly flat. And they should be able to give me a order of magnitude quote just by size, right? And they didn't. They wanted always wanted somebody to come out, and I know exactly why, because they wanted to upsell me stuff, right? And I don't want to be upsold, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't awarded the gig yet, but it's going to go to that one company who didn't annoy me.
Okay. And didn't annoy you by requesting to stop out and see you. Instead, they just sent you a price.
Yeah. Say that. Yeah, they sent me an approximate price, right?
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
price level, and and they even said, and then we can do this, and then there's another price for that, which is fine, you know. But if you're a roofing contractor, you know what it costs you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you do it for the first 10 times.
So, question: What if they wanted to meet you to connect with you to make sure that there's somebody you'd want to work with?
Maybe, but when somebody calls me um, and leave messages 5 times,
Mm-hmm.
sends me 12 text messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree
It's
with that.
just too much. And
Mm-hmm.
and and they could have mitigated this by, for example, saying, if you don't want to hear from us again, please let us know,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And
Right on.
I responded to several of these, saying that you should be able to give me an order of magnitude price without having to come out and look at it, because I'm a really busy guy, and I don't really want to spend an hour with somebody who's just trying to upsell me something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I think that's um, I think maybe um, having a more customer centric and understanding the customer is really very, very important, right? And
Indeed.
some of these also said things like, "Oh, you get 5,000 off. Off what?"
Of
Right?
what? Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, completely useless information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my little story.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you
I've
for
been
sharing
ranting
that.
enough. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
a quick aside, part of our system, step 5 in our system is the website.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that framework, now it's very important that everything else is built up to it, but part of that is listing a price range ahead
Mm-hmm.
of time on there. But again, for those listening or watching who are not familiar with our system, there are value building blocks up to it. So don't just list your price. It's very important you put everything up there so that you build the value up to the price. And so I
Yeah.
agree with you. The premise, if these guys had that, they could have shot it to you, said, hey, look, here's a range of our prices for you ahead of time as well.
You know,
Um, what are
but you
some
said
pricing tips?
yeah, you said something very important there, and that is build up the value until you get to the price. And that is um, another issue that many companies do, is that they don't deliver a value proposition, and they don't um, they don't try to differentiate themselves in any way. Um, and and I mean, having obviously used contractors many times in my life, um, there are so many ways that a contractor can differentiate themselves, right? Um, and um, let me give you an example, maybe relevant or not, I don't know. But as most people, I've had to um, you know repair some of the appliances I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And The normal way, right, is that somebody comes out, look at it, disappears for 3 days, and then comes back with a price or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this guy who I've obviously used every time I needed this kind of service, ever since I used him the first time. He asked me to, take a picture of um, the exact model number of the appliance,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me, and give him a detailed description of what the problem was, and he didn't come out. Um, he messaged me a day later saying that, yeah, I found the part. It's going to be this much. It's going to be this much for the service. And does it work if I show up at 11 o'clock on Friday? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy showed up at 11 o'clock on Friday with the part and the right part. So I mean, it's annoying enough when your fridge is dying,
Yeah. Yeah.
and but every time he made this process so simple,
So,
right?
thank you. What are some tips that painting contractors can apply today?
In pricing,
Mm-hmm.
it's I think it's so important to realize that not all customers are willing to pay the same price, right? There are always certain customer segments that are willing to pay more profitable prices, often for some level of service that other contractors do not supply, and and um, and that needs to be discovered, right? And I mean, for example, I can imagine that there are ways of providing guarantees that would add value to the customer and that would allow the contractor to charge higher prices.
Mm-hmm.
Simple things like, um, again, guarantees to show up on time, right? Guarantees to have the job finished on time. Um, guarantees guarantees that in the truck they're coming with, they're not going to run over your borders, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, stuff like that, simple things.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you then find out what folks are willing to pay? Well, there is a method you can do this, and um, the if you're a painting contractor and you actually want to find out what people are willing to pay for your particular service, what you do, and you do this anonymously, right? You approach 25 potential prospects, right? This may be, I mean, if it's homeowners, it's homeowners, right? Um, if it is business to business, it may be the maintenance department of a building, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and um, and these 25 individuals are not your current prospects, are not your current customers. They are certainly not your friends and family. And you ask them um, and you ask them anonymously, not saying who you are, um, what a price would be for this paint job. It could be per square foot or per I don't know, I don't know, wall, or per level, or whatever that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ask them what what is a price that is so low you think that we are not going to go be able to do a good job, right?
Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
and because there's psychology in pricing, and I mean, we've all been there, right? We hold something in our hands, either physically or metaphysically, and and we say to ourselves, I kind of want to buy this, but at this price, this can't be any good, so I won't, right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that applies to painting contractors as well, right?
Hmm.
So you approach these 25 people, and you describe, and particularly describe the differentiators, whatever those may happen to be, um, and then you ask, what is the price for a paint job for your installation, again per some measure that is generic,
Hmm.
and say, what is the price where you think that we are going to overpromise and underdeliver, that the paint is going to fall off within 6 months or whatever it may be, um, or that we overpromise and underdeliver. What is that price? And then, secondly, you ask, now let's look at the flip side. Say that we are going to deliver all our guarantees, and we're going to be quicker than we promise. The paint job is going to be absolutely spectacular in quality, and what is a price that is so high that you still don't want to buy it?
Hmm.
And then you take the averages of these two interviews, if you like, 25 too low, 25 too high, and you suddenly have a range of where your pricing should be,
Very interesting.
right?
Yeah.
And obviously, for profitability, you want to put that price towards the higher end, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then you can continue doing this, because obviously some of these 25 people you talk to is going to be real prospects, right? Um, and um, and you start by doing 25 in a particular market, a vertical market, right, that you're interested in. Could be a geographic market, it could be a type of customers or whatever. And as you continue this process, you do another 25 in a different market, maybe in a different geography, maybe in a different kind of buildings, or what have you, office building
Hmm.
versus warehouses, stuff like that. Um, and then you can see how your pricing may change based on the profile of the customer, right?
Hmm. Indeed, very interesting. Thank you. What's the single most effective advice you would give to a painting contractor regarding pricing?
Uh, well, it is really what we just discussed, to um, to make sure that you differentiate yourself in one way or another. Um, the Because differentiation is something that leads to pricing power.
Hmm.
And if the company is seen as a commodity, it is sold on low price alone, right? But it's differentiators that leads customers to be willing to pay higher prices.
Okay, so build value in it by differentiating, by setting yourself apart so that you don't look just like everybody else. Because when you look like
Correct.
everybody else, you're a commodity, and then they base it off price alone.
Yeah, correct.
Nailed it. Fantastic. Thank you, Pierre. Again, your book is The Price Whisperer. If
It is.
somebody
It is
would
here.
like, there it is.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. I'm sure you can get on Amazon and anywhere at your local bookstores. If somebody would like to reach out and follow up with a question or just reach out to you, what's the best way they can
Yeah.
contact
The,
you?
the 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 really best way is just do a Google search for the Price Whisper. Not
Okay.
only will you find the book, you'll find I have a YouTube channel,
Hmm.
and you get some 10 million hits if you Google the Price Whisperer, and most of them are me.
Right
So
on. Fantastic.
so,
Okay.
and I write a lot of white papers and so forth. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Pierre. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much, Steve.